While much of Western Europe continues to swelter in dangerous heat, the World Meteorological Organization, try saying that 3 times, says that it was the hottest June ever on record. The deadly heat wave led to more than 10,000 excess deaths, with 9,000 of those in the 65 and older community. That is according to the European Mortality Monitoring Network.
Yeah, the extreme heat continuing well into July, where many cities are sweltering. The harsh conditions accelerating fire danger, leaving France and Spain to both battle wildfires. For more on these dangerous conditions, let's bring in our chief climate correspondent, Bill Weir. So, Bill, just the idea that Europe has had 10,000 more people die as a result of these heat waves. I mean, it's really striking, and I think that a lot of people are concerned that this could be what is coming down the pike. This could be the new normal if these temperatures continue on this trajectory. Just walk us through your assessment.
Sure. Much has been made, Zane, of the fact that there's such a dearth, a lack of air conditioning infrastructure in Europe and France. Of these countries that reported, 27 countries, France and Belgium were the extreme fatalities. They didn't break them down. There are about 2,700 deaths from a separate study just in England and Wales alone. From the heat. But these are reminders that Europe didn't need air conditioning for most of the 20th and 21st centuries up until now. And now we're seeing the results of what exactly science has been warning about, climate scientists, for generations now. Every gigaton of fossil fuel that's burned cranks up the global thermostat a little bit. And what this shows us is this combination of an omega block as the jet stream breaks down, that belt of wind at the top of the earth. And so you get these big, sort of like the Greek alphabet letter omega, that just sits like a pot lid holding the heat in for weeks sometimes. And then it is the infrastructure that was built for a different world. And as you said, about 90% of these are folks over 65. This heat preys on older folks in older homes, and these sad numbers are just the result of that.
Yeah, and these temperatures are lasting for weeks on end with no reprieve into the nighttime as well. And it is interesting and notable that all of the climate experts that we've had on to cover this have said in the immediate time now, the number one priority should be retrofitting and getting as many air conditions installed as possible to save lives. That is by no means a panacea. It could perhaps be even more detrimental to the climate in the longer term. But most people are now saying that this has to be the new normal and getting ACs for those that are most vulnerable. Bill, what other unprecedented events are happening now as a result of climate change that maybe we're not focusing enough attention on?
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. Adaptation is life and death right now. It's not political. Air conditioning is not about wokeness or being frugal. It's life or death now in this new hotter world. And what you're seeing for the first time ever are firefighting planes being called up from southern France to defend Paris. The Fontainebleau forest, as a result of that heat, is dried out, is on fire. And so they're fighting the kind of fires that the folks in Southern California had to worry about. That shouldn't happen in a zone like Paris. And again, this is what a climate change looks like. We're not going back. We're not refreezing anytime soon, given the current trajectory of things. And folks in London now know why people in Phoenix wear oven mitts in the car sometimes. They keep them in the glove box because you can't touch that steering wheel in August. Or why first responders in Phoenix have started bringing big bags, body bags full of ice out on calls in order to cool these folks down when they're in the middle of heat stress. You never think that those ideas spread from Phoenix to Paris and London, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, such a good point about what the future holds, and especially just what you were saying, Bjarne, about Europe really adapting in terms of getting AC units. There aren't outright bans on AC units, but there are local planning laws and building conservation laws, and obviously also for aesthetic reasons, let's be honest, that a lot of people are against having a sort of AC unit hanging from windows, as you would see here in New York.
How can Europe best adapt to this changing climate? Because research suggests it is likely to be most affected. And of course, that will have far-reaching economic implications. And I know there is a big debate about air conditioning right now, but it goes far beyond that, doesn't it?
It goes far beyond that. It is very unfortunate. And what we are seeing is fires used to be much down south in Europe, where temperatures did reach 40 degrees. But now it's happening close to Paris. And you said, there is a third heat wave coming. I think what we need to realize, one, of course, that climate change is real and governments need to focus on it. But secondly, the government policies need to adapt as well in terms of cooling. It's not just air conditioning, but cooling of the cities. And what that means is twofold. One, the governments need to provide households more subsidies to cope up with the extreme weather. But secondly, is extra fiscal pressure on government finances. And that comes at a point where there is just not enough room for a lot of European countries to give that fiscal stimulus. So for us, purely from an economic point of view, and like I said, it's very unfortunate from a human point of view, but from an economic point of view, it means extra spending, it means extra fiscal burden, and that means extra borrowing and more pressure on yields in the bond market.
Fire crews have been scooping water from the River Seine in France to tackle a wildfire south of Paris. So far, more than 3 square miles, which is about 800 hectares, have burned in the Fontainebleau forest. The fire's not uncommon in Europe, but experts say conditions this year have led to a spike. And CNN's Melissa Bell on the scene. She's in the historic Fontainebleau forest. And just describe what you're seeing and hearing there, Melissa.
Well, we've come really as close as we can to, but to give you a little perspective, those are not clouds that you see behind me. That is the fire coming from that fire, still not fixed, say authorities. So they still haven't managed to contain it. And what we understand, as authorities have spoken about what has been happening here since last night, we're about 60 kilometers to the southeast of Paris. This is most unusual to see wildfires this far north. What we understand is that this fire started last night. There were 2 different fires that started on either side of this main motorway, the A6 that leads south out of Paris, right by Orly Airport. Those 2 fires have now, say authorities, become one, and it is raging out of control. As you say, 800 hectares already burned. It's about a fifth of the forest of Fontainebleau, this very ancient forest here to the southeast of Paris. And just behind me, near where that fire is currently raging, of course, the famous Chateau of Fontainebleau, the royal residence here in France, and one of the most famous royal residences there are. So still not contained. And what we're hearing is that this nearly 1,000-hectare fire now is likely to continue being pushed on by the kind of winds that we've been seeing, but it is also very dry conditions. We're now in the middle of our 3rd heat wave in just a month and a half. Already across France, it is 32,000 hectares that have burnt. That is more than the entire season of wildfires of heat of 2025. And it gives you an idea of just how dry the earth is and just how hot the air is.